I used to think conscious creation was mostly about being intentional. Choose your thoughts carefully, set the intention, visualize what you want, take aligned action, be mindful of your choices, and listen. Intentionality definitely matters. It is often the first awakening in manifesting more of what you want in your life. The first moment that you realize, I do not have to live entirely on autopilot. I can participate in the direction of my life. I can choose with greater awareness. But intentionality is the baby step. Conscious creation is something much deeper. It is the recognition that consciousness itself is woven through all that is, and that your focus, your perception, your feelings, your beliefs, your identity, and the meanings you assign are participating in the reality you experience all the time. You are not simply setting intentions inside a fixed, lifeless world. You are consciousness in relationship with reality. And once you begin to understand that, conscious creation becomes far more powerful than think positive and make a vision board. It becomes a way of perceiving. It becomes a way of being, a way of recognizing that your inner world and outer experience are in constant conversation. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. Welcome, beautiful souls, to Infinite You. I'm Dr. Sheri, spiritual psychologist, multidimensional mindset mentor, and human potential catalyst. And here on Infinite You, I help you understand yourself more deeply, align with who you truly are, and consciously create your life from the inside out with a little bit of psychology, energy, science, quantum field, all of that good stuff, body, mind, soul, multidimensionality. That is a huge thing for me. Your possibilities are limitless. They are infinite. And today I want to talk to you about one of my very favorite subjects that is always evolving for me. And I've been doing this work for decades. But I want to talk today about conscious creation, and I want to talk about it a little bit beyond the surface, beyond intention setting, beyond affirmations, beyond deciding what you want and hoping your thoughts stay in high vibe enough to make it happen. Because conscious creation is not merely about being intentional. It is about understanding the role of consciousness in the way we perceive, experience, and participate in reality itself. So before we dive in, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel, Infinite You, if this resonates with you, if you're interested in conscious creation, manifesting energy, psychology, multidimensionality, who we are in body, mind, and soul, and how we really can step into a higher level of knowing, of abundance, of vibration, of manifesting, creating, etc., and feeling really, really good about who we are, why the heck we even came here to begin with. And if you know someone who may be interested in this video, go ahead and share this video with them. Let's dive in. Like I said, remember, intentionality is the baby step. And I want to begin here by honoring intentionality because it really does matter. There is a real shift that happens when a person stops living purely by habit, reaction, conditioning, stories, paradigms, whatever is loudest in the moment, and when they begin to ask, who am I? What am I choosing? What kind of energy do I want to bring into this? What would it look like to live with more awareness? That is powerful. Intentionality is the moment you stop completely being carried by the current of your physical reality. It is the moment that you realize, I can pause, I can notice, I can choose. And for many people, that is life-changing, being intentional about your thoughts, your habits, your relationships, your goals, your mornings, your spending, your time, all of that can create a real movement within you. But conscious creation, I think, goes further, because if you think conscious creation is only about setting intentions, then you may still be ignoring or imagining yourself as a person inside a fixed reality, ignoring the bigger, more infinite, expansive part of who you are, right? So if you're still imagining yourself, perceiving yourself as a person who is in a fixed reality, trying to nudge life along in some better direction through deliberate choices, it's all good. But I think energetically, there are more efficient ways to co-create our reality. But anyhow, that is definitely a start. Intentionality is the start. It is the baby step, but it is not the full truth. The deeper truth is that consciousness is not an accessory to reality. Consciousness is part of the way reality is experienced, interpreted, and I believe participated in, and that changes everything. I just made a whole video about our multidimensional nature of body, mind, and soul, and like how we can really integrate it and not compartmentalize things like being in a physical body, in a physical reality, with these thoughts that we always have to like fix and improve on and be better, and then the spiritual aspect that kind of comes and goes when we feel like we need, deeper connection and faith. I'd rather see it kind of be integrated in a much bigger, more expansive, comfy chair kind of way, honestly. So I just want to give you like a little bit of an example, a working example of how what I'm talking about with consciousness. So I'm going to give you like this little baby example. Imagine the color red. On one level, we can talk about red in a very external way. It is a color. It is a frequency of light. It is a visual stimulus. But your conscious experience of red is not only visual. Red may feel warm, passionate, sexy, dangerous, bold. It may remind you of roses, lipstick, blood, cherries, a stop sign, a fire truck, a dress you wore, a sunset you never forgot, or the walls of a room from your childhood. The color exists, but your experience of the color is filtered through consciousness, through memory, through meaning, through emotion, through association, through sensation, through culture, through identity, through your own lived history. That is true of far more than color. It is true for money. It is true for visibility. It is true for love, for success, for silence, for feedback, for a delayed text, for an unexpected opportunity, for a number in your bank account, for a room full of people, a blank page, a dream you keep postponing. Reality happens, but you do not encounter it as a neutral machine. You do not encounter reality as a neutral machine. You encounter it through consciousness, and that consciousness is alive. It is layered. It is meaning making. It is emotional. It is energetic. It is deeply creative. And remember, you are already participating in reality. This is why I say conscious creation is not something you begin doing only after you read a book about manifestation. You are already participating in reality. You are already focusing. You are already interpreting. You are already assigning meaning, feeling, expectation. You're already choosing. You're already embodying a relationship to what it is you are experiencing. And the question is not, am I creating? The question is, how consciously am I participating in what I am creating? Because what you focus on matters. What you repeatedly feel matters. What you believe matters. The identity you create from matters. The meaning you assign to events matter. The energy with which you meet life matters, not because you are personally to blame for every circumstance you have ever experienced. That is not what I'm saying. But because once you become conscious of how deeply your inner experience participates in your outer life, you can reclaim your power. You stop believing life is simply happening at you, and you begin asking, what am I rehearsing in my consciousness? What am I normalizing through repetition? What am I making this moment mean? What version of myself is meeting this reality, right? It is interpretation, it is consciousness. And like I said, my multidimensional video, if you want to look that up, really talks about your perception in the physical, in your mind and belief system, and your identity and your programs, and then what's going on at the soul level. That is conscious creation. So I want to talk now about focus, because what you focus on not only occupies your mind, it organizes your experience. If you wake up focused on what is wrong, what is missing, what you are behind in, who disappointed you, how long something is taking, and why it may never work, your entire nervous system, perception, emotional tone, and decision making begin to organize around the field that you are creating. You notice evidence that confirms it. I kind of talked a little bit about this in another video, very, very briefly, because it was not exactly germane to the topic. But think about your conscious mind and what we call in manifestation circles the reticular activating system. Whatever you notice, whatever you put your attention toward, that's what you are creating and bringing into your field, right? So think about it that way. If you're thinking about things in a certain way and you're ruminating and you're stuck in this space, right, and you're thinking about it, the most practical example I can give is, like, let's say you want to buy a new car. And I know this is like a working example that everybody talks about. But let's say you want to buy a new car and you notice whatever, I don't know, pick a car. Pick a Volkswagen Tiguan, right? So you want a Tiguan. You keep test driving them. You're looking at photos, you're looking at pictures, and then everywhere you are driving and seeing and going, you notice the Tiguan, right? That is the example. That is the evidence confirming what is going on in your conscious mind, in your reticular activating system. And then you anticipate more of that state. You create from that state. And so getting back to like the more serious thing going on, like in your waking day and what you're thinking about and what you're focused on, does that mean that you should ignore those problems? Of course not. Conscious creation is not about pretending that things are not existing in your physical reality. It is not about spiritual denial. It is not refusing to see what requires attention. But there is a difference between honestly noticing a challenge and building your whole identity around the challenge. And I want to be tangential in this moment, because when you raise your vibration, when you are coherent in your vibration in body, mind, and soul, you raise your vibration, and that definitely creates much more resilience or solution-oriented way of being when life challenges come, because they do. So I'm going to say it again, I am going to say it again. There is a difference between honestly noticing a challenge in your life and building your whole identity around the challenge. There is a difference between saying, this is happening and I need to respond wisely or find a solution, or saying, this is happening, therefore this is who I am, this is how life works, and this is what I can expect forever. Focus is creative because it directs energy. It tells your conscious mind what matters. It tells your emotional system what to prepare for. It influences what you notice. It affects what choices feel available to you. So yes, intention matters, but intention without conscious awareness of your ongoing focus can become a wish floating above a completely contradictory inner reality. It's really about being in tune with that feeling, a much higher belief of knowing who you are, what you want, and creating from that space. And so I think this is like a perfect segue into talking about feelings, because we often talk about them as if they are either inconvenient reactions, something to regulate, or something to raise into a better, higher vibration. But feelings are much more than that. Feelings carry energy. They carry information. They reveal what has meaning for us. They tell us what we are resonating with, what we are resisting, what we are longing for, what we are fearing, what we are desiring, what we are grieving, what we are preparing to experience. And in conscious creation, feeling matters, because you do not create from words alone. You create the frequency of the thoughts and the feelings you inhabit most often. So you can say, I am abundant, but if the body contracts, if the mind scrambles, if you have that feeling of fear, notion of your bank account, and the emotional field says there is never enough, then the words are not yet the full creation. So you can say, I'm ready for love, but if intimacy feels unsafe and being seen feels terrifying, then your conscious desire and your deeper energetic state are not yet in alignment. You can say, I want to share my work with the world, but if visibility is linked in your system with judgment, rejection, pressure, then a part of you may still be creating retreat. This does not mean that you are failing. This means creation is happening at more than one level, which is why conscious creation asks us to become curious about, what am I saying I want? What am I actually feeling as I imagine receiving it? What energetic story lives underneath the words? That is where the deeper work begins. Belief matters because beliefs influence what feels possible, what feels safe, what feels reasonable, what feels like me. A belief is not just a thought you can repeat in a sentence. A belief is often a felt expectation. It is the internal posture you carry toward life. If you believe good things do not last, money comes through struggle, love requires self-abandonment, your desires are too much, your body cannot change, your voice does not matter, opportunities happen for other people, then you will not only think from those beliefs, you will perceive through them, you will interpret through them, you will choose through them. You may reject what contradicts them and trust what confirms them. That is how belief becomes creative. Not because belief is magic in a simplistic way, but because belief shapes your relationship to possibility. And conscious creation is, in part, the work of becoming aware of the beliefs through which you have been participating in reality, and then deciding whether they are worthy of continuing to lead. And I think that this is one of the parts that we talk about far too little. What happens matters, but when you make it mean what you make it mean matters too. Two people can experience a setback, and one decides, I knew I wasn't cut out for this, and the other decides, this is information, I need to adjust, learn, or stay with it longer. Same event, different meaning, different emotional state, different unfolding. Two people receive silence after reaching out. One experiences it as, I am being rejected. The other thinks, I don't have enough information to make that conclusion. Different meaning, different nervous system response, different self-perception, different possibility. Meaning making is one of the most creative things consciousness does. You are not only living through events, you are narrating them. You are placing them in a story, and that story has consequences. It shapes your identity. It shapes your momentum. It shapes what you expect next. Conscious creation asks, is the meaning I am assigning empowering me, expanding me, and aligning me with truth? Or is it collapsing the field around me before life has even finished speaking? So, underneath the intention, the focus, the feeling, the belief, and meaning is identity. Who are you being as you create? Not just what you want, but who is the one wanting it? Who is the one perceiving the situation? Who is the one interpreting the delay? Who is the one making the decision? Who is the one responding to the opportunity? Because the same intention held by two different identities can create very different experiences. One woman says, I want to grow my business, but she is creating from, I need this to work so I can finally feel safe and worthy. Another woman says, I intend to grow my business, and she's creating from, I have something valuable to share. I am willing to be seen. I am building what I know is aligned. Same intention, different identity, different energy, different choices, different willingness, different capacity to receive. This is why conscious creation is not merely about declaring what it is you want. It is about becoming aware of who you are being in relationship to what you want. I'm kind of looking at my notes here because I wrote this giant, beautiful soliloquy that I wanted to share with you, but I want to just kind of go through and see where we can kind of cut this video length down a little tiny bit. So maybe I'll make a part 2. I want to talk about a few other things, but I think for now, let me go to the practical questions of how you are participating. Do not overanalyze yourself. Just become more conscious of the reality that you are participating in. So the first question is, what am I giving the most attention to lately? The next question is, what meaning am I assigning to what is happening? And then ask yourself, what emotional frequency am I repeatedly returning to? Am I returning to pressure? Am I returning to urgency? Am I returning to discouragement, to trust, to curiosity, to expectation, to possibility? What belief is shaping what I expect? And who am I being in relationship to what I want? What do you give attention to? What meaning do you assign to things? What emotional frequency are you coming from? What belief is shaping your expectation? And who are you being in relationship to what you want? These questions can shift you from autopilot into awareness, and awareness is where conscious creation begins to deepen. So, beautiful souls, conscious creation is not a cute concept or poetry in motion. Well, maybe it's a little poetry in motion, actually. It is not a sticker on a planner. It is not merely deciding you want a better year. It is not just a morning intention that gets abandoned by the moment reality becomes loud midday, right? Conscious creation is a way of participating and remembering that you are alive inside a conscious universe. It is everywhere. Consciousness created us, and that your own consciousness is participating in the unfolding of your life. You are a part of God's mind. You are focusing, you are feeling, you are interpreting, you are choosing, you are meaning making, you are deciding, you are believing, you are becoming all the time. And when you become more awake to that, you begin to create differently, to receive differently, not from control, not from fear, not from trying to manipulate the world into giving you what you want, but from a more intimate relationship with truth, with possibility, energy, identity, and the life that is moving through you. You get to relax in all of this, right? This is not a dissertation. This is an experience. Intentionality is the baby step, But conscious creation is the deeper invitation to become aware of the consciousness you are living from and to let that awareness change everything. So I'm going to put a couple of links down below for my free newsletter. I would love to have you join me in that space. And a link to my human design session. I'm a certified practitioner. It is all about your energy type, the strategy and the way you live, and your inner authority, so you can really get into flow and live from and create from a space that is actually part of your human design. So if this conversation resonated with you, I would love for you to hit subscribe, hit like, definitely comment, share this with anyone who may need this video. I would love, love, love to really build an amazing community around all of this energy. So, and I may put a link below for a link coming soon for my quantum identity playbook. It's really cool. I'm working on it right now. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. I hope that this message resonated with you, and I will see you all next time, beautiful souls. Namaste.